Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
It's Keep the Wow Wednesday, and I wanted to share something that I realized after an insane day yesterday. And the takeaway here will be, don't let your list stress you. Don't let your list run you. We all have days that are overscheduled, and I had one yesterday. Like early in the morning we started, and I did a little before the show. Hey, we're doing Girl Talk Tuesday, later. And then it was 10 hours at work. And then I was, at the pharmacy trying to get medicine I needed that I couldn't get. Then I get in my car and drive to my mom's house. And I visit with her, and I try to pick up some clothes I was having altered that weren't ready. When I tell you I had so much on the list. Then I was due to be at a fundraiser for a friend of mine's 501c3 event. And then we were doing Girl Talk Tuesday. When I walked into the house, Murphy, after 7 p.m. and those high heels clicking, and I turned on Facebook Live, I had not been home except to let the dogs out for 10 minutes earlier in the day. It was one of those days where my list kept talking to me saying, you can't do all this. Like my brain was going, what are you doing? What should you cancel? Which one should you send the text that you can't make it to the event? And I just, at one point, while visiting with my mom yesterday, I thought, I'm just going to do it all. I'm not going to let the what if of the list determine my game here.
That's smart. I'm really bad about that myself.
Letting your list become a feeling is it gets in your own way.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a reminder in my phone that basically says, you are not your responsibilities.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're not your list.
Yeah, which is basically what that means.
For
the
me.
Things that I'm supposed to be doing, don't internalize that as that list becomes me for the day. It's just what I've got to do, and you you make the decisions. But it's difficult not to, because when you make a list, you want to get it all done.
There's a reason you made the list.
Right.
Right. I was ambitious, very ambitious yesterday, and it feels great to know that all the boxes were checked. That's a wonderful, productive feeling at the end of the day that I'm chasing, that I really do want. However, I'm human, and I almost canceled one or two of those things. And, go home and do my bedtime routine and do the bath and do all the self-care things. But instead, I just did this marathon of a day, this ambitious day.
Yeah.
But it was just nice to not let it become a feeling. It was a fact I had all this to do. And so I just did it all. I showed up to the event, and I told everyone when I arrived, I can't stay the whole time. And I'm so glad I did. I saw some of my favorite ladies. I saw Kathy. I saw Stephanie. Stephanie came over, and she listens, and she said, I've been following the Champ story, and I'm dying to know how Champ is doing. So he's doing fine, by the way, our dog.
Our dog, yeah.
But it's just one of those days I wanted to talk about it, because I feel like everybody has that. You have this internal dialogue. You're not the only one, but don't let it run you.
Well, so the other thing that you said is true. Even though you elected to keep everything on your list, sometimes you don't have to keep everything on your list. And sometimes what you put on your list, maybe felt right at the moment, but it really isn't a do or die situation. Rarely are things that, in a way.
Yeah.
But I have trouble remembering that also.
Everything is on fire.
Yeah.
Is that when you bust out your Eisenhower matrix?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the Eisenhower matrix. Clearly, I'm not using it.
Here's another example of how self-talk is so important. Don't let your list become a feeling or anxiety is what I feel like. Another example is yesterday afternoon when I left my mom's house. I enjoyed my visit with her. It was shorter than I usually have been doing, but at least I got it in. I wanted to see her, give her a hug, see how she's doing. On the way to the charity event, I'm thinking, I'm doing Facebook Live after this. And early in the morning when I said, let's do Girl Talk Tuesday tonight, we're going to talk about being married at work and our relationship and how we make it work. I was just full of energy and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as my dad used to say in the morning. That's how I was ready. But at 7:30 last night, I'm like, what am I supposed to be talking about? But it ended. I just did it anyway instead of letting the internal dialogue create pressure. We just did it, and it was awesome. It was one of my favorite Girl Talk Tuesdays in a long time. It's still on Facebook Live now. I mean, it's still on Facebook if you want to go back, and because we really went there, Murphy. I told stories about you and me. working
Oh, really?
together first and getting married and how we make it work, how I handle being mad at you when I'm work mad at you, which happens.
Man, I'm going to go check this one out.
We talked
Yeah, me
about
too.
you.
Actually, maybe it would be good advice for me to go watch this and understand how I'm supposed to be.
We can dig into some of that tomorrow in the show, but we will. Because there was a lot of good comments I want to share that I didn't get to last night.
Okay.
You know, a lot of women are busy at night and jump on late and watch the replay. But there's a lot of good, gems there.
Well, the working with your spouse question is the most common question that you and I get, Jody.
I
and how
get
you
it
do
more
that.
than you do. And it's always from women. Men do not ask, how do you work with your husband? Women are like, how do you work with your husband? Oh my God, I could never. That's what follows. Is,
I've
oh
had
my God,
guys ask, how do you
Really?
work with your wife?
Okay.
I mean, not as a judgment on you. It's just the right thing. How do
good
you
to
work
know.
with Jody?
Well, good.
No, but it's because they see
They
it the
know.
same thing. The dynamic. Not everybody is built for that. You and I didn't seek that, so it's kind of like we had to learn it.
No. But my answer to that question, and we kind of talked about this last night, is always that it's not for everybody. Couples can either do it or they can't. And understand it comes with it comes with a layer that other couples don't have. You and I have issues that other couples don't have. Burnout is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, lines being crossed more often is one of them.
Hey, burnout. Let me go back quick. The burnout, you don't mean like job burnout. You just mean the fact that the two
Too
of
much
you are
togetherness.
always
Yeah,
together.
too much. Yeah.
Too much togetherness. A lady came up to me last night at that charity thing and she was saying, oh, you're talking about that tonight? I can't wait. She says, I know I couldn't work with my husband. I already see him so much I don't ever miss him. I would like to I would love to know what it feels like to miss him, but he's always there. And I was like, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was an issue for us at one point, but now I don't know. We're in a place. Part of that I think is because our daughters are older now. Not that there was any problem with the four of us always being together, but you and I could not distance, or just do our own thing because we're responsible for raising our girls at that point.
Together.
But now I think that we balance that pretty well. You
Oh,
know what
sure.
I mean?
You sometimes won't
And-
even see me on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'll realize, and I won't call. I mean, if there's a thought, you always have that shared moment thing where it's like, I see something, this is what I would share with Jody anyway because it's Jody, and so I'll text those kinds of things. But like if I'm traveling or I'm doing the retreats or whatever, there's not a whole lot of phone calling going on.
I
There's,
think it's nice. It's
Yeah.
because, we didn't go here last night about having a happy relationship, but I really, truly believe that the people who are in the happiest relationships are also happy with their own lives. I have my own life and I don't depend on you to make me happy. You do make me happy and you're a part of that. But if I'm going to be happy, that is up to me.
Yes.
And if you're going to be happy with yourself, that is up to you.
Well, and yes, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is also the communicating with each other to understand what's happy and what's not. If the other person's, what I'm getting at is like, working together, if you're not careful, the normal frustrations of a day, you bring those home. Well, you're going to hurt the other person's morale because you're working together. You know what I mean? Even if it's just like it's just natural expression of frustration or whatever. It has a different context when you're working together, and it doesn't mean that we can't tell each other things. But I've had to learn over time that I don't need to. She lived the same thing I live today. She doesn't need me bringing that back home, right, Jody? I mean, it took me a bit to learn that.
We talked about that last night too, that if you are going to work with your spouse, a lot of people find that that's something they want to do together. You see a lot of spouses working together because you create a business together.
Yeah.
And who do you trust more to handle your books? Well, your wife or your husband or whatever. A lot of people are doing it. That's why we talked about it. And there was a lot of engagement. But one thing I have learned, and I think you have learned, boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes when you hit the door, if something's on your mind, you will start talking to me about it. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. This happened. Let's talk about it. I want to talk about the podcast or Sam or the show or something we're doing, travel, work. But other times, I remember recently on a Friday evening, you started talking about work and I was like, it's Friday night. Can we not? And you were like, oh, you're right. So that's just me being a boundary. And years ago, I probably wouldn't have done that. Years ago, I would have said, okay, well, this is just who he is and he's talking to me about it. And I don't want to hear it right now, but I'm not going to say anything. But now I'm like, please don't talk to me about that right now.
Let's talk about Sam.
And that's just a boundary. It's just a boundary.
Yeah.
And so you learn that along the way.
It's a healthy boundary. Yeah.
Yes, totally. So anyway, back to the list and that kind of day. I think everyone, especially Americans, we are success driven. And most of us, if you are success driven, you have a list every day of things to get done. Some of them are professional, lots of them are professional, and some of them are personal. And that's is always gonna call to you. I think that's normal, and I love to have a productive day too. But I am working on not letting my list become a feeling and become weight. It just is what it is, and that was a breakthrough for me yesterday, to have such an ambitious day, but to not let it make me feel like a nervous wreck.
Yeah, I
love
love that.
Sense?
Yeah. I've never known you to be overwhelmed by your list. Yesterday was the first kind of day where I saw it spilling over on you.
Yeah.
I mean, you really...
I was back to back to
You
back
were
to back to
stressed, but I also noticed the change in the evening where you just were... It was like one text to me. It's like you had just changed your thought. You took a breath and you put yourself back in a healthier space.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So a little keep the wow.
What's
personal.
on your list for today?
It's, not as big, but it's pretty full. I have a pretty full day. But guess what? One thing at a time.
One thing on the list is not to worry too much about the list, right?